Okay, so it is Rover maintenance time. I got quite a few parts in to do quite a few jobs, so I'm going to sort of talk you through the game plan here and then tell you how I'm prioritizing getting these done. So let me show you what I got so far. Okay, so first goal was to get this thing to be roadworthy, and with that I identified a few things that needed to happen before I felt comfortable taking this bad boy out on the road for a bit and not either causing some kind of catastrophic damage to other components or to the vehicle itself in some way, or to other people out on the road. So, first up, oil filter, oil change, air filter. That was going to be the first job I did, but the astute amongst you may have already realized that I've got two different types of oil. I've got the OG dyno oil, and then I've got some synthetic over here. I have read that the diesel engine oil is the way to go due to the high zinc content that these old Rover V8 engines kind of need to survive, especially long term. However, I have seen conflicting reports on whether I should go dyno versus synthetic. From what I've heard is if you go synthetic, you're likely to see more leaks because I think it's thinner somehow. Even though the weights technically are the same. That's sort of what I have read to be true. I don't know it to be true. So I got to figure out what I'm doing here. Would be very helpful and appreciative of anybody who drops anything in the comments about their experience with either one of these, or just dyno versus synthetic in general. So that will get done. Just not sure which one I'm going to use just yet. I've got plugs. Now, plugs aren't necessarily critical because the vehicle does start. However, it has previously thrown a misfire code. And I don't know, if running around with the cylinder out of whack would cause a ton of, additional damage. But I figured I got these plugs for cheap enough. I'll talk to you guys about the cost of parts and stuff later. And I think you'll be surprised at how cheap I got some of this stuff for. And I'll let you know where I found it. But they were cheap enough, and it's an easy enough job to do plugs. Coils and wires in their hand, that'll be definitely a later thing, but we'll get there at some point. Rear brake pads and rear rotors, because, well, I've showed you previously, this needs to happen. This is definitely what I would call a critical job, because this bad boy doesn't stop very easily. And then on the back, I've got a front drive shaft. That to me is definitely critical because I don't know the condition of the current drive shaft. I thank the good Lord that I was able to make the 200-mile drive back on this thing from where I purchased it and not have that thing shatter off and become a weapon of death for the transmission. So I want to get rid of that fear that I have and put on that new drive shaft. And then I've got front CV axles because, boy, do they need them. I assume that with some skill I could have rebuilt the current axles by adding new boots and stuff like that, but man, I got these things for so cheap that it made more sense to me to just get the whole axle assembly and put them in. So that's the plan for like the bare minimum stuff. I do have a few, as every good and true restoration job is. I do have some very cosmetic things that I think I might do first because, that's definitely not what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's sort of, obviously one of those things that you see and they just, maybe sort of burn a hole in your eye. So I went out and I purchased this assorted spring kit from the Homeless Depot. And I'm thinking that I can find some springs in this bad boy to rectify this missing horn button situation I have. Now, I did find the buttons. They were just... the little legs had snapped off. I found them actually in the center console. I had previously purchased this kit, but these guys are way too small in diameter. The length on some of them was good, but definitely too small in diameter. And I'd rather have a spring that is the right size diameter, but too long, and then I can trim it down, which is what I'm planning on doing with that Homeless Depot spring kit. And then here are my replacement buttons. So yeah, so that's it. I'm going to be doing this in my garage, my side single car garage. which with not enough room, as to not disturb my other cars that are in my main garage. With just mostly basic hand tools. I don't have any air tools, even though I have a compressor. But yeah, ratchets, wrenches, sockets. I have a decent jack, which I picked up from the Hazard Fart. And I got jack stands to do the drive shaft job, because I'm gonna want to be able to spin that drive shaft to get to the to all the bolts without having to struggle too much. But if I can do this, you can definitely do this. So stick around. I think I'm gonna get to the rear brakes and rotors first. So stay tuned.